Sorry,
How you
there's so
gonna
many
get those
questions.
people? How you gonna get, the question is how you gonna bring the people to that?
This isn't, actually,
That's
that
not-
was just, I don't think St. Louis is ready for, I mean, in my humble opinion, to do any such project. There's no money, there is, there is a total absent in cultural.
Again, can I quarrel with there's no money? Very, a fortune is being invested in plant technology based on the Danforth Plant Science Center, the movement of the remaining corpus of the Danforth Foundation into the Plant Science Center, which pulls in Monsanto, Washington University, and other universities in the area. And a lot of exciting innovations are being developed there. And it surprises me that you're going to start from scratch in a number of these other areas where you're sort of bypassing what's perhaps most exciting, certainly substantively, the most important cluster of potential innovation, where the big money is being invested.
Aren't you talking about enlivening the downtown metropolitan area? The county is developing and growing, and all those industries are out there. But downtown is dying and dying. There's empty, there's not even a major department store except for 2 floors or 3 at Macy's downtown. There's hardly any nice place for people to enjoy. There used to be tea rooms. Downtown used to be a vital place. I grew up in the city, and I remember coming downtown on the bus. And today you can still come down on the bus and the Metrolink. And the Metrolink, that's almost all the universities, and if there's a bus service. And that could be improved even better if there were more people using it.
We have, thank you. I'm sorry, what you wanted to add?
Yes, I'm representing the Sam Bopp School of Design, and looking around the room, I noticed that I am the only designer in this room, and just observing the remarks that have been made, and along with your presentation, from what I understand, you're talking about the collaborative nature of all these forces coming together, and St. Louis has all these forces, they just don't work together.
Yeah.
And even on our campus, the art students are, very much separated all the way down in the corner, or the MFA students in the Lewis Center in the Del Mar Loop. And I think even a starting place is just on campus, is getting these fields mixed together. And I think once that force starts on a campus level, I think it can extend into a city, which is probably the ultimate goal. So I just wanted to point that out and raise that point for Wash U as well.
I just wondering how, people talk about how little money there is and everything in St. Louis. Is there any way that you could flip the way of thinking about it to attract people from beyond St. Louis by saying how affordable it is?
Yeah.
I mean, it's extraordinary how well a person can live in St. Louis as like a grad student or without having to have a lot of money, and you can have culture here in a way that you would have to pay a lot of money if you lived in New York, and probably couldn't even live anywhere near those institutions of culture. Similarly in Chicago or many of these other areas that have similarly high quality institutions that we have. So has there been any attempt to kind of look out to the country and the globe and try and say, it's not just that we're high crime, we actually have all these other things, so that it's not just crime that people know about St. Louis, but that there's like this secret high quality life that you can be living here if you come here rather than going to New York, things like that.
Yeah, I will address all of these in a minute. Sorry, you wanted to add something to it?
St. Louis 100 years ago was the 4th largest city in the United States. It was a place where everybody wanted to be. It was a river town, and one of the problems was that the way they developed St. Louis, it was landlocked. It could not expand any further. The big problem today is that St. Louis does not have a school system. Without a school system, and the school system has actually been taken over by the state, it was so bad. Without a school system, you could not get any young people to move into the city because their number one worry is where they will go to school. And so until we figure out a way to develop a school system in the city of St. Louis that is good, that people want their kids to go to, I don't think there's any hope that we can do anything to grow St. Louis, because there's nobody that'll move into St. Louis until that school system exists.
It's definitely a key factor. Sorry, go ahead.
It's not just people moving into St. Louis, it's the downtown area that you're talking about. If there were nice theaters, at one time there were movie theaters downtown, there were cafeterias, there was places to go, places people wanted to go.
Right.
Not today.
I think the question of quality of life and city vitals is on one hand a key factor. If you create the amenities, then you are its advertisement in itself. Secondarily, sorry, I forgot you wanted to say
Well, I
something.
just wanted to ask you, since you bring us the expert groundswell of information from an international experience, what have they done internationally in say, Copenhagen and throughout the Western Europe? They reinvent their cities. Now, largely they reinvented their cities because after World War II they were decimated. They were destroyed, so they had to rebuild their cities. So they had that influx of money and capital to rebuild everything. That helped a great deal. But what else did they do? Can you share, can you bring us that dynamic that they developed over there?
Sure.
That we don't have over here? I mean, we all know about our schools, we all know about that crime statistic, which is totally unfair to the United States, to St. Louis, because it talks about the city, not the county which we live in.
Well, when I was preparing the lecture today, I had a decision to make. Am I going to talk about what you're asking specifically, show the examples from around the world, or actually take the timeline of, what those. If you go to our link, there are articles, there are papers we've produced that actually have, you can just download it and read it at your leisure. I thought it would be a lot easier to understand or address what those lessons are in a nutshell, which the lesson from all of them is cities that were successful or have managed to successfully reinvent themselves and never went back to what they used to be. Because it's not about, we're in the industrial economy is gone, we're in the new economy. We need to understand what the indices, what the variables in the new economy are. And really the lecture is about translating that in spatial terms. And you, for now, have to take my word that cities that invested in their creative economy, in the creative sector, were by far the more successful ones compared to the ones who are not embracing different approaches and kept trying to do things the old way. And the other thing is, leadership plays a key role. It's a little bit like if a mayor of a town is waiting for, there's only so much that tax incremental financing can do. I don't know how many TIF money. There's only so much, it's an incentive. It brought a lot of, most of what's happening in downtown is due to the new, due to TIF, but there also needs to be a vision, sort of that connects and brings together the anchor institution, starts a debate, creates a consensus. So, in a nutshell, keeping talent, promoting the creative industry, it has always contributed in a major way to the success of those cities. You just have to take my word for it. The time is so little to cover, and my point of departure was taking that as a given. What does it mean what I guess when I was asked to do something, to think about North St. Louis, I just tried to address it spatially, to use a space. I'm not proposing that's what we need to do. What does it look like? What does it look like to have an interdisciplinary space or parts of town That's about renewable energy. That's about promoting the creative sector. That's about, creating spaces for innovation. That really, it's all about that. And also getting your question, how do you promote diversity? Well, if you have a university, with university comes students from all over the world. With them comes their needs for special food. I actually don't know why I forgot an important illustration I had, which is like when you have students from all over the world or lecturers from all over the world, they want the special foods, they want the special films. So that demand creates, there's going to be people who want to accommodate that and make the profit. So gradually, it's a process. You just can't implant, but you have to put the seeds there for things to happen. And unless those seeds are implanted, again, I was trying to show you spatially, you are not just going to suddenly have overnight. And also, it's about a change of, it is to do with culture, of how we think our societies should work, and there is a need for social innovation. We can't do forever things the way we've been doing them. It's just, we need to think how else can we combine and redo things. Sorry, you.
Even now, in the county, areas are gone. Crestwood Mall is practically nothing anymore. Northwest Plaza, I think, is nothing.
Right.
Which were big areas that drew people from downtown, and now they're disappearing.
Right. If you wanted a good example from U.S. cities, I think Minneapolis has done a pretty amazing job. Minneapolis is one of my papers when I was trying to look for an American case study. I thought just to finish up, if we go back to Mr. Seeley Brown's wonderful slide about really creating interdisciplinary spaces, if you look at, again, I visited the Google and the Apple in Silicon Valley, and it's kind of interesting. In fact, they are doing exactly that. Within the fortresses of the corporation, they have created these amazing spaces for live work. I mean, just this, they hire most talented people, and they just let them play. And at some point when a product appears that, like, let's assume at the time when the iPod was created, then the marketing army comes in and it goes to the next phase, and it's just marketed and you create demand. So I guess I kind of started wondering, what if this was happening in a city without the corporate walls? So you actually created interdisciplinary spaces just as they do it. It doesn't seem very hard, and we just need to think things a little bit differently. It's proven it's been successful. So here comes the Creative Exchange Lab, which is a non-profit that I've set up. We've set up. It's really taking that proposal for North St. Louis that it would take a couple of generations for it to, if it ever materializes. It means a lot of people have to work together, very focused, and we're talking about anchor institutions, so that's not easy. But what if we created these little places or spaces in town, and we actually promoted workspaces that is about interdisciplinarity? So the Creative Exchange Lab, if I just take you to the mission statement, here. It is to create a place. I just want to open something else up before I finish with that. I was teaching here at the architecture department, and I was astonished how many of my students had been here for years and who didn't really know the downtown or St. Louis that well. It's kind of, the campus is like an oasis, and I guess that to add this kind of crime factors, I'm sure a lot of parents have been telling, just don't go there and don't go there, and that So you end up having all these people, talented people come here and then go, once they graduate, apply and leave. Well, St. Louis has really amazing high quality spaces. And as you're rightly pointing out, prices are great. Why go to New York in some basement, not knowing even if you get a job or not, if you're given an opportunity to start up here, just as they're doing with the IT people, just as they're doing, Monsanto. So it's kind of creating an incubator for the creative sector, and so I don't need to go over that list. So it is giving an opportunity for designers from all the sectors to come and start up just as IT people do, but also team up and address different projects, and also looking, sort of putting in front of them a palette of fix your city projects. I had a graduate calling me a year and a half later into his graduation that he couldn't find a job. He was from St. Louis, and if he could have been given an opportunity to work on a project, he could sign up for his professional exam. So he wouldn't have this huge gap of 2 years in his portfolio where he couldn't even have a logbook. So these are like all missed opportunities. Sorry, I keep saying, go ahead.
One thing I was going to bring up, a friend of mine who's a painter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know, but about 12 years ago, they had lofts downtown
Yeah.
that were for artists, called the art lofts, and if you lived there, you had to basically, prove you were a working artist.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, because all the companies, just like you said, the creative companies all left, they couldn't get enough people to sign up to live in the building. So eventually the building went under. But all those people said if there had been opportunities for them to work, they would have stayed. And they could have still lived cheaper downtown and, contribute to the community.
There are still many thriving, sort of focused on artists. This is more about the wider spectrum. So if we left out just the artists, it's everybody else that remains within the creative sectors. Literally the urban designers, industrial designers, animators, programmers, IP lawyers. So it's kind of taking it a notch the other way, because there are actually amazing facilities in downtown and they're doing very well. And what you were saying about why do it in downtown, it wasn't the intention to suggest that we need to go to, because they're doing well. Boeing is doing well, Monsanto is doing well, Vortex, I don't know, is actually adding more value to town, promoting other aspects and facets and opportunities in city of St. Louis. And especially investing in all these young people who are graduating, thousands every year. And we've got great spaces. Why not give them incentive to stay? That's where the dollar is, and that's where opportunities. Sorry.
At one time, jobs were downtown.
Mhm.
People didn't live downtown. They even came from Western Groves on a train to work downtown. They came from far and wide to go downtown because that's where there were jobs. That's where there were nice restaurants to eat at. That's where there were theaters and movies and drugstores. Now, the only good new thing downtown is Schnucks.
Well, yeah, hopefully it's changing a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you
very
for your
much.
time.